Hey guys, tonight we wander through misty Malagasy forests, where fermented banana dishes first whispered into being. You're barefoot on soft soil, humidity clinging to your arms like a warm shawl. Above you, banana trees sway gently, their broad, waxy leaves rustling like tired gossipers. Their trunks aren't really trunks at all, just layer upon layer of wrapped green sheaths, like nature's own version of cling wrap. The scent, somewhere between overripe fruit and wet stone, comforting, faintly alarming. This is Madagascar, not the DreamWorks one, but the real island, stretching like a jagged leaf off the coast of Africa, home to plants and customs you won't find anywhere else on Earth. And tonight's story is about something deceptively simple: a leaf, a dish, a strange, sleepy process of transformation known as fermentation. You're going to follow it through time. But fair warning, it might smell bad. It might turn weird colors, and at one point, it may or may not involve singing to rotting food. You probably won't survive this, at least not with your appetite intact. So, before you get comfortable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe, but only if you genuinely enjoy what I do here. And let me know in the comments where you're watching from and what time it is. Now, dim the lights, maybe turn on a fan for that soft background hum, and let's ease into tonight's journey together. You kneel near the edge of a village clearing, not far from where the banana trees cluster thickly like green spires. Children chase a goat, elders lean back on carved stools, and smoke rises lazily from stone-lined pits. But the real action, it's happening under the leaves. You see a woman, perhaps in her 60s, methodically laying banana leaves onto a flat stone slab. She brushes each one with water, then holds it over a coal fire just long enough to soften it, not burn. Just wilt. She's prepping them because tough banana leaves don't fold well until you coax them with heat. It's like origami with steamed spinach. She hums a tune while she works, something low and rhythmic, and you wonder whether it's a song to the food or to the ancestors or both. Then she begins to scoop spoonfuls of something thick and pale, like mashed cassava, onto the center of each leaf. In some, she adds bits of spiced fish. In others, chopped greens or insect larvae. She folds the leaves tightly, ties them with fiber string, and sets them aside in a straw basket. Later, they'll go into a pit oven. But for now, they sit and sweat, gently fermenting, quietly alive. Here, in this quiet corner of the world, food doesn't rush. You wait. You let it change. And the banana leaf, it's not just a wrapper, it's a partner in the process. Mainstream historians trace banana cultivation in Madagascar back at least 1,000 years. But the exact origins, murky. Some argue bananas arrived with Austronesian sailors from Borneo. Others point to East African trade. Still others suggest a staggered migration. Seeds here, stems there, ideas everywhere. Historians still argue whether bananas were cultivated first on the western coast or deep in the Central Highlands. Nobody agrees. Everyone nods sagely. One thing is clear. Once the banana tree took root, it took over. It grows fast. It yields abundantly. It gives you fruit, fiber, shade, and even emergency umbrellas if you're caught in monsoon season. And its leaves, those wide emerald flags, became cooking vessels, fermenting skins, and storytelling canvases all at once. You run your fingers along one now, noting how sturdy it feels. Not floppy like lettuce, not brittle like dried corn husks, somewhere in between. And when heated, it smells sweet, almost tea-like. The perfect thing to wrap food in. Bury it in the earth and let it forget the sun for a while. Fringe theorists, even the ones who think aliens taught us to cook you know who you are, suggest that banana leaf fermentation might have started by accident. A wrapped bundle left near a hot spring, a forgotten meal buried by an animal, a weird smell, a brave bite, and voila, flavor, longevity, and mild hallucinations, depending on the ingredients. You won't find ancient cookbooks here, but oral tradition, it runs deep. You overhear stories about certain banana bundles that whisper when they're ready, or about elders who can tell if a dish has fermented correctly just by the vibration in their knees. Is it science? Maybe not. But neither is your grandma's meatloaf recipe, and you trust that with your life. Remember, fermentation isn't always pretty. It's moldy, it's sticky, it's a slow decay that somehow leads to nourishment. It's proof that sometimes letting things go bad is exactly how you make them good. Like relationships or cheese. You glance again at the softening leaves, now stacked neatly beside a mortar of ground clove and ginger. That leaf once a shade tree, once a fan, once a plate is about to become the skin of something sacred. And over the next several nights, it will stew, bloat, shrink, and finally melt around its contents. Not everyone can handle the smell. Not everyone should. But you're here, and that counts for something. You squint against this rising mist as you make your way toward the shoreline. Bare feet brushing dew off the tall grass. Banana leaves rustling above like tired applause. The wind carries the scent of salt and something sour, like mangoes left too long in the sun. But you're not here for mangoes. You're tracing a route no one agrees on, through ocean spray and oral legend. To answer one sleepy question, how did the banana even get here? Madagascar's banana trees look right at home now. Thick trunks, oversized leaves, clusters of green fruit dangling like oversized wind chimes. But they didn't always live here. They're immigrants, like nearly everything on this island, including people. Mainstream historians believe that bananas arrived in Madagascar over 1,000 years ago. The leading theory: Austronesian seafarers, yes, boat people from what is now Indonesia and Malaysia, sailed across the Indian Ocean in dugout canoes and brought banana plant clippings with them. That's right, thousands of miles across open ocean, riding the monsoon winds, paddling into the unknown with bundles of roots, rice, and yes, baby banana trees. You can almost hear the bananas sighing through the journey. But not everyone buys that. Some scholars argue that African traders from the Swahili coast beat the Austronesians to it. Others propose bananas drifted over on trade routes, passed from port to port like gossip. And then there's a third camp that mumbles about spontaneous botanical migration. Maybe the bananas just walked here. Historians still argue whether the fruit came with people or if it beat them to the beach. What we do know is that once the banana tree arrived, it settled in fast. And it wasn't alone. Along with it came culinary knowledge. How to cook with banana leaves, how to ferment starches, and how to survive on fruit that could be mashed, dried, smoked, buried. And if you were really desperate, fermented into something halfway between vinegar and regret, you pause at the edge of a craggy cove where sharp black rocks cut into the surf. Somewhere around here, centuries ago, a canoe might have landed, salted fish in one basket, taro roots in another, and in one humble corner of the boat, a rolled-up banana stem, tied with bark string, still damp from the journey. It would have looked unremarkable, and it would have changed everything. Bananas aren't actually trees. By the way, they're giant herbs. Their trunk is a pseudostem, a tower of leaf sheaths packed tighter than your grandma's attic. The fruit isn't really a fruit either. It's a berry, and the banana leaf. It doesn't just wrap food, it shapes it. When ancient Malagasy cooks got their hands on these leaves, something clicked. They began to layer them, steam them, soak them in river water. They used them to line cooking pits, cover baskets, and even if you believe the whispers, write secret messages in ash on the inner leaf skin. Because banana leaves burn fast, you see, and that made them perfect for passing along information you wanted destroyed, like recipes or rebellion. You duck under a palm frond shelter, watching a local elder demonstrate how the banana stem was once transported. It's heavy, waterlogged, but vital. You imagine hauling it overland, sweating, swearing, slipping on roots, but refusing to let go. You'd have to believe in it, in what it could become. And what could it become? Well, nearly everything. The banana leaf wasn't just useful, it was multifunctional. It could serve as a roof tile, a torch, a fan, a dish, or a bandage. Some remote tribes used its sap as an insect repellent. Others mashed the leaves to create a temporary poultice for swollen joints. Whether or not it worked depended on whom you asked and how many fermented banana snacks they'd had. And yes, there's a fringe theory, hold on to your leaf for this one, that early Malagasy people observed lemurs using banana leaves as makeshift shelter during storms and mimicked them. Lemur survivalist classes. Basically, no written evidence for it, but it's a lovely thought. And honestly, lemurs do seem like they know things. You move inland now, brushing past vanilla vines and wild ginger, climbing a path shaded by banana groves. The air thickens with humidity, but something else too. Anticipation. It smells like dinner, but older, like memory. A whiff of fermentation. Here's the fun part. In ancient Malagasy culture, fermenting food in banana leaves wasn't just about preservation, it was about transformation. You didn't just want your rice to last longer. You wanted it to become something new, softer, more complex, richer in flavor and meaning. Imagine you're a traveler in 900 CE, stopping at a hillside village after days on foot. The host doesn't hand you a bowl. No, she unwraps a steaming banana leaf bundle, places it directly into your hands, and lets you inhale the sour-sweet perfume before taking a bite. It's sticky rice mixed with coconut and dried crab, or maybe taro leaves with fermented river greens. Or if you're lucky, a mixture of mashed banana, crushed wild almond, and a mystery spice no one will name. You chew slowly. The banana leaf has softened from the heat, its oil seeping into the food, wrapping everything in an earthy musk. The fermentation gives it depth like old books and fireplace stone. It tastes ancient, on purpose. So whether those banana stems sailed in tied to the side of a canoe or were slipped ashore by sneaky traders with salty hands and secret recipes, one thing is certain. The banana leaf was never just a leaf, it was a vessel, a shelter, a gift. And in the hands of ancient Malagasy cooks, it became a kind of edible alchemy, something green and wild, transformed by time into something golden, steaming, and alive. You stand in the heart of the banana grove now, surrounded by plants so tall, they blot out the sun like a green cathedral. It's quiet here, save for the flap of wings, probably a fruit bat, and the creaking groan of trunks swaying under the weight of their own bounty. It feels reverent, not because of the fruit hanging above you, but because of everything else the banana gives. The parts we never think about. Tonight, you'll think about them all. The fruit is just the beginning. That familiar curved yellow prize is actually one of the least used parts in early Malagasy kitchens. Don't get upset, it's still delicious, but to ancient cooks, the banana was an all-you-can-use buffet. You've got the leaf, the stem, the sap, the skin, the flower, and even the weird fibrous husk that cradles the root ball, like it's tucking in a baby for the night. Nothing was wasted. It was culinary zero waste centuries before Instagram made that trendy. You reach up and pluck a banana flower, a massive, purplish teardrop, waxy and weighty in your palm. Peeling it back reveals tightly packed yellow florets, each one capable of becoming a fruit or dinner. In certain regions, these blossoms were chopped, salted, and buried with chili leaves to ferment into something halfway between kimchi and herbal coleslaw. A little slimy, a little sour, just enough bite to keep things interesting. And then there's the stem, the pseudostem, technically, which, when peeled and pounded, releases a watery sap that smells faintly of cucumber and swamp. In traditional medicine, this sap was used as a coolant for fevers, or even to chase away ghosts from the stomach. A polite way of saying get rid of gas. Historians still argue whether this was placebo or proto-probiotic. Either way, it works better than biting your lip and pretending your stomach isn't gurgling. The fibers inside that stem, once dried and twisted, were used to tie everything from fish nets to food bundles to funeral wreaths. You watch a boy gather handfuls, braid them loosely, and tie off one end. Not for fishing. Not today. He's making a loop for hanging leaf bundles in the smokehouse, an old technique used to pre-cook banana leaf meals before burying them underground. Why smoke them? Because smoky funk plus banana sweetness equals umami fireworks. Also, it keeps rodents away. You can't have ghosts in the stomach and mice in the pit. There are limits. Now, let's talk about the peel, everyone's least favorite banana part. But peel back your judgment for a second. In ancient Madagascar, banana peels were boiled and sun-dried into tough sheets that could be used for insulation or chewed as a digestion aid. You could steep them like tea, or crush them into paste with cloves and smear them on sore joints. Does it work? Let's just say that if you've ever made tea out of your trash, you're in good company. And then there's the sap. The banana plant's internal lifeblood, oozing out when you cut too deep. Slightly sticky, smells like mild grass and sadness. but mixed with local resins, it became a key ingredient in food dyes, spiritual ink, and yes, at least one recorded love spell. The charm was simple: write the person's name on a fresh banana leaf, using the sap and clove ash. Then bury it in a fire ant hill. If they showed up at your door within 3 days, true love. If not, probably the ant's fault. You stroll through a cluster of huts now, where women are preparing meals that don't involve bananas at all. And yet, banana leaves are everywhere. They're used as plates, steaming mats, even lids for clay pots. When filled with grain and tied tight, they can be submerged in boiling water and plucked out an hour later as a perfectly formed bundle. Portable, durable, delicious, the ancient world's version of the lunchbox. In fact, banana leaf cooking served a dual purpose. It wasn't just practical, it was spiritual. You weren't just wrapping food, you were wrapping blessings. Meals prepared this way were often offered to ancestors, left out overnight in silence, or even conversed with as they steamed. Think of it as culinary ASMR. Whisper to your food, and it whispers back with flavor. One fringe theory, admittedly unprovable but delightfully strange, suggests that the shape of wrapped banana leaf bundles mirrored the shape of ancient burial shrouds. The idea that every meal was a metaphorical offering, a tiny wrapped life returned to the earth and reborn as nourishment, like edible reincarnation. You don't have to believe it, but you do notice that every bundle is tied with an odd precision. Not too loose, not too tight. Like a gift meant to be opened slowly. A grandmother beckons you now. She holds a bundle to your nose, still warm, slightly slick, and smelling like fermented rice, grilled nuts, and wood smoke. You breathe in, you sigh, you try not to drool. The banana leaf crinkles slightly as she opens it. Inside, a lump of mashed yam folded around a core of salted fish and pickled greens. You take a bite. It's soft, creamy, complex. The tang of fermentation is mild, like yogurt and vinegar had a polite conversation. The banana leaf hasn't just held the meal together, it's flavored it. The oils have seeped in, mingling with the smoke and starch, creating something that can't be replicated in foil or plastic, or heaven forbid, a microwave-safe container. You lean back, leaf bundle in hand, and watch the steam rise in curls. Everything about this moment feels slow, intentional, like the banana leaf isn't just a wrapper, but a storyteller, a green envelope filled with memories, sealed in smoke and time. You shift closer to the fire pit now, warmth rising up your shins as the smell of charcoal, banana leaf, and something vaguely sour curls into your nose like a memory you never made. A shallow breeze brushes past your face, not enough to cool you, just enough to remind you that, in this part of the world, fire is more than heat. It's transformation. And what you're about to witness is no ordinary cooking technique. This is ritual. This is wrapping. This is how the leaf becomes legend. You crouch beside the elders, 3 of them, all weathered as driftwood and twice as patient. Their hands move without speaking. One brushes softened banana leaves with coconut oil, another spoons in fermented rice laced with crushed peanuts and wild garlic. The third wraps, folds, ties, and sets the bundle beside the others in a slow-moving assembly line older than most of the trees nearby. The leaves are warm, pliable, dark green with blackened edges, their veins standing out like ancient maps. You watch as each one is layered twice, once for flavor, once for protection, and tied with just the right tension not to choke the filling, but to hug it. This isn't fast food. This is food that waits, and it's going to wait inside the earth. Because this isn't just steaming, it's pit cooking. In Malagasy tradition, you don't cook food on the fire, you cook it with the memory of fire, underground, insulated, heated by stones that were, moments ago, glowing red like dragon scales. They show you the pit, round, waist deep, and lined with thick river stones that have been heating in the fire for hours. Ash has been brushed aside. The banana leaf bundles are gently nestled in a single layer. More hot stones are added on top. Then a lid of sand. Then more banana leaves. And finally, just because, another whispered song. You strain to catch the words. Something about ancestors. Or possibly rain. Malagasy isn't a language that explains itself. You ask how long the food will cook. One elder laughs so hard he coughs. The answer? When it's ready, the fermentation that happens during this cook isn't fast or obvious. It's subtle, a continuation of a process that already began before the leaf ever touched the rice. You see, these aren't fresh bundles. They've been sitting in the shade for 2 days already, slowly fermenting in their own natural bacteria, absorbing the scent of wood smoke and river wind. The fire just finishes what the air started. Modern food scientists will tell you that banana leaves contain polyphenols, natural compounds that seep into food when heated and add flavor and antioxidants. But the elders don't talk about polyphenols. They talk about mouth memory, that flavor that only comes from time, smoke, leaf, and patience. One of them calls it mamini hafa hafa, the strange sweetness. You lean back and stare at the smoke curling into the sky, knowing full well you're not eating anything until tomorrow. That's part of it. Fermentation and pit cooking both require surrender. You don't rush it. You trust. You wait. In the meantime, they let you try something smaller. A fresh leaf wrap, steamed in a clay pot rather than buried. It's filled with mashed banana flour and ground cricket paste. You weren't expecting the crickets, but hey, protein is protein. You unwrap the leaf slowly, steam escaping like a sigh. The bundle glistens inside. Soft and sticky, a mix of deep purple and tan. You take a bite, it tastes like honeyed mushrooms and peanut butter. Had a child and raised it on mountain air. Not bad. Once you stop thinking about the legs, and that's the thing, banana leaf wrapping wasn't just about convenience, it was about transformation. You start with raw food, sometimes borderline inedible, and wrap it tightly in something natural, breathable, forgiving. Then you leave it alone. Let it rest. Let it change. When you open it again, it's something else, still itself, but more. That philosophy extends beyond food. In many Malagasy regions, the banana leaf became a symbol of containment, of holding something safely, until it could become what it was meant to be. Food, memory, grief, celebration. Even newborns were sometimes swaddled in banana leaves for their first night outside the womb, not just for warmth, but for spiritual protection, to keep the ancestors close. You glance back at the pit, now fully sealed. Not a puff of smoke escapes, just a mound of sand and stones, waiting. No timers, no thermometers, just faith in heat and leaf and time. Nearby, a child is wrapping a stone in a banana leaf for pretend cooking. Her fingers mimic the folds she's seen her grandmother make. She ties it with a string of bark. Her bundle won't ferment, won't flavor, won't feed, but it will remember. The muscle memory, the rhythm, the ritual, it's already part of her. Fringe theory time. Some anthropologists believe the art of banana leaf wrapping may have begun not with food, but with medicine. Poultices of fermented roots wrapped in heated leaves were used to draw out heat spirits from the body. That's what early physicians called fevers. If the wrap hissed or bubbled, when removed from the skin, it was said to have absorbed the sickness. Whether it worked or not, well, historians still argue whether it was medicinal or magical. But when the line between science and belief is a leaf's thickness wide, does it really matter? Night falls now, and the fire dims to ember glow. You hear soft laughter, low drums. Somewhere, someone is weaving more banana leaves into flat mats, not for food, for sitting, or sleeping, or mourning. You close your eyes and smell the smoke in your hair. Tomorrow, the pit will open. Tomorrow, you'll taste what heat and time have rewritten. But for now, you rest wrapped in darkness, held like a bundle of rice in a leaf that still remembers the tree it came from. By morning, the air has changed. It's heavier now, thicker with moisture, saturated with the deep, earthy scent of turned soil and wet leaves. You step carefully toward the pit, where the elders are already at work, brushing off the sandy lid with palm fans and woven brooms. No shovels here, just hands and time, and a practiced rhythm that makes it feel more like an unearthing than a meal prep. Steam bursts from the exposed cracks like a dragon sighing through its nose. Someone hums again, the same melody as before, or at least a cousin of it. You'd ask for the lyrics, but you're pretty sure there are none. Just sound, just memory, just the music of watching something transform. And now comes the reveal. The stones are lifted first dark, glistening, some slightly cracked from the heat, Underneath, the banana leaf bundles look like fossilized scrolls, blackened in places, still damp in others. The outer leaves have gone from green to copper to charcoal, but they've done their job. You reach out to touch one and feel the heat trapped inside. It's like holding a whisper from yesterday. They start handing them out one bundle per guest. Still tied, still steaming. The rule is, unwrap with gratitude. No tearing, no rushing, just unfold. Peel, reveal. Yours opens with a soft hiss, like a leaf sighing in relief. Inside is a mash of fermented sweet potato, smoked river eel, and wild ginger. It doesn't look fancy. It looks humble, honest, like something that remembers being planted. You take a bite. It's sour, salty, sweet. The texture is somewhere between porridge and pudding, but with chewy bits of fish that refuse to let you nap too quickly. It tastes like something old, something earned. You close your eyes and chew slowly, letting the flavors map their way through your mouth like explorers. Historians have documented at least a dozen different banana leaf bundle styles across Madagascar, varying not just by region, but by altitude. In lowland coastal areas, the fillings were lighter seafood, soft fruits, fermented rice. In the highlands, things got denser. Yam, millet, goat meat, pickled greens. Some villages even developed fermented banana fillings wrapped in banana leaves, creating a sort of culinary echo chamber. Banana in banana, a loop of leaf and pulp. One fringe culinary journal from the 1980s refers to this as mono-wrapping and claims it produced a slightly narcotic effect. That's never been proven. But try eating 6 of them on an empty stomach and see how long you stay vertical. The woman beside you giggles as you lick your fingers. She offers you a leaf bundle filled with something darker, almost black inside. You hesitate. She insists. You bite. It's mashed swamp banana achondrobi, the starchy wild cousin of the sweet banana you know, fermented underground for 3 days with cloves, river salt, and crushed termites. It tastes like sour bread dough left in the sun, but somehow comforting. Like the flavor version of an old blanket you forgot you loved. You wipe your hands on a scrap of leaf, and that's when you notice how clean it feels. No grease, no cling film, just a natural plate, biodegradable, warm to the touch, and somehow it makes the food feel more alive, like it wants to be remembered. The elders say the banana leaf does more than wrap, it breathes. It lets moisture in, lets flavor out. It holds, but it doesn't smother. That's the secret to the fermentation. The slow dance between air and heat and leaf. Plastic could never. Foil would sweat and turn your food into a soggy disaster. But the banana leaf, it lets the dish become itself. You glance around the circle, everyone's unwrapping, tasting, sharing. No one's rushing. There are no clocks here, just chewing, laughing, a few polite burps. One child tries to hide hers behind a cough. It doesn't work. Fringe theory corner again. Some anthropologists believe the rhythm of unwrapping these bundles taught early Malagasy people the value of anticipation, that the ritualized slow reveal influenced not just cooking, but music, poetry, even courtship. You don't just take, you unwrap, you wait. You let the scent tell the story before the tongue does. Historians still argue whether this is credible or just poetic overreach. But hey, you've waited longer for your takeout order and didn't get a single fermented eel out of it. One of the elders taps her leaf and motions for you to look closer. You do. The inside is stained dark, almost patterned with lines and whorls. She tells you this is called soritra, the ghost print. Each cooked leaf leaves behind a unique map after steaming, like a banana fingerprint. Some say you can read your fortune in it. Others just use it to judge how well the fermentation went. You see a spiral, or maybe a fern. It looks familiar and strange, like a dream you forgot but know you had. By late morning, the pit is empty. The bundles are eaten. The leaves are folded and tossed into a compost basket, destined to become next season's mulch. The fire is out, but the scent lingers on your hands, in your clothes, beneath your tongue. You've eaten something that's been changed by time, held by a leaf, flavored by smoke and silence. And somehow, you feel different too, like a bundle unwrapped just a little further. And now you understand. The leaf wasn't just a wrapper, it was a vessel of memory, of patience, of delicious decay. The smoke has drifted. The pit is covered. And now you're wandering through a narrow footpath lined with drying racks and bamboo shelves, each stacked with bundles of food in various stages of fermentation. Some are wrapped so tightly the strings cut little grooves into the banana leaves. Others are barely folded at all, loose, casual, already beginning to leak. You're not in a kitchen anymore. You're in a gallery. A fermentation gallery, and each leaf bundle, it's not just food, it's status. In ancient Malagasy society, what you ate said everything about who you were, but more importantly, how you wrapped it spoke volumes. Leaf bundles weren't just practical cooking tools, they were cultural signals, edible business cards. And the most extravagant of these bundles, well, let's just say you didn't unwrap one of those without sitting up a little straighter. You pause in front of a particularly elaborate one, folded with decorative knots, wrapped in 3 different leaf types, and marked with a streak of red clay across the top like a forehead blessing. You don't even have to open it to know it wasn't made by accident. This was a statement dish. Some households developed signature wrapping styles, passed down through generations like family crests. A left-hand fold meant your family came from the coast. A diamond wrap with a double knot. That was a Highland clan, possibly with cattle wealth. Leaf patterns told stories of migration, alliances, even rivalries. One anthropologist once described banana leaf bundles as the original edible emojis. Historians still argue whether that's charming or cringeworthy, and it wasn't just about shape. It was about contents. Certain fermented fillings were considered luxurious, like smoked lemur tail, back when it was legal, or fermented duck egg mashed with green papaya and toasted rice. Other ingredients, like dried lake algae or stinky fermented beans, were more common, but when prepared right, could still impress. It was the execution that mattered. One story from the 13th century tells of a village chief who hosted a peace banquet after decades of intertribal tension. Instead of bringing gold or cloth, each guest brought a banana leaf bundle uniquely wrapped, heavily fermented, rich with symbolism. These weren't dishes, they were arguments. One had a 3-day-old goat cheese filling folded into a serpent shape, a warning. Another was dyed black with charcoal ash, a memorial to past warriors. And one, left slightly unwrapped, was a scandalous gesture of openness and vulnerability. Did it work? The records suggest the tribes didn't go to war for at least another 5 years. So maybe you run your fingers along a bundle, now its edges carefully tucked like a letter no one dares open. You notice tiny decorative slices in the outer leaf, forming a zigzag. You ask what they mean. The woman beside you shrugs. Rain, she says, or maybe teeth. Her accent makes it unclear, but the mystery only adds to the charm. In the wealthier villages, some fermentation bundles were never meant to be eaten at all. They were display food, made to be smelled, admired, and then offered to spirits or buried with the dead. Think of it like those fancy soaps in your aunt's bathroom, too pretty to use, too old to throw away. A fringe cultural theory from a forgotten museum catalog claims that banana leaf bundles were once exchanged during marriage negotiations, with each party reading the bundles like tarot cards. A well-balanced wrap with savory sweet contrast, promising bride. A sour, sloppy bundle tied with twine instead of fiber string. Return to sender. We can't confirm it, but we want to believe. You stop at a stall where a man is crafting bundles that look like birds. He folds the leaves, not into boxes or rolls, but into shapes long-necked cranes, perched owls, even a coiled snake. Decorative, sure, but also edible. Art you can steam. You ask how long it took him to learn. He says he started folding banana leaves when he was 6. He's 82 now. You do the math. You stop doing the math. He offers you a simple folded triangle, stuffed with mashed starchy banana and a pinch of fermented honey root. It's warm, soft, and smells like sour caramel. You bite. It tastes expensive. Not because it's rich, but because it feels old, as if someone made this exact recipe before there were calendars. Possibly before shoes. Nearby, 2 children are arguing over whose bundle has the tighter wrap. They press the sides, poke the knots, squabble about technique. You realize this is their version of a sports rivalry, a banana leaf bake-off. And suddenly, you understand, fermentation isn't just about survival. It's about style. Just like fashion, Fermented bundles follow trends. Some years, spicy fermented greens wrapped in triple leaf layers are all the rage. Other years, it's minimalist wrapping thin, one-leaf bundles with wildflowers pressed into the seam. In one highland region, a trend started for raw edge fermentation, where the leaf is left slightly burnt to add bitterness. Was it delicious? Debatable. Was it cool? Absolutely. So the next time someone tells you that banana leaf cooking is just about tradition, you can smile and nod, but you'll know, deep down, under the folds and the funk, it's also about pride and performance, and maybe, just maybe, showing off. Because even 800 years ago, someone somewhere was thinking, yeah, but does my bundle look cooler than hers? The morning drips on. The air is getting hotter now, thick like syrup, slow like molasses. You move toward another part of the village, shaded under a woven canopy, where smoke curls lazily from a half-buried clay oven. This one's older, deeper. You peer into the pit, and the scent hits you like a soft slap. Wood ash, banana leaf, fermented starch, and something sour-sweet, like the ghost of an underripe mango mingling with burnt sugar and damp socks. Welcome to the preservation zone, or as you might call it, the ancient Madagascar fridge powered by smoke, salt, and time. No electricity, no buzzing motors, just wisdom passed down through fingertips and memory. And here, banana leaf fermentation wasn't just about flavor. It was about survival. A man stoops to stir a pot of briny liquid bubbling gently in a stone trough. You ask what's in it. He grins. Banana sap and fish guts. You try to keep your expression neutral. He nods approvingly. You've passed the first test. That briny liquid, he explains, is the starter. A fermented base drawn from weeks-old pickled anchovy and wild herbs, filtered through banana leaf to remove the grit. Into it goes dried rice, starchy banana slices, a touch of tamarind, and most importantly, salt. The salt slows the rot. The smoke chases away insects. And the banana leaf, it holds it all together like a slightly fragrant superhero cape. You step closer to the racks. Dozens of banana leaf bundles hang from loops of braided fiber string. Suspended like sleeping bats, they sway slightly in the wind, creaking, dripping. Some are freshly wrapped bright green and slick. Others are shriveled and brown, almost leathery. These are the long ferments, weeks, months, maybe more. One bundle is labeled with a charcoal mark, 90. You ask what it means. Days, someone mutters. You blink, 90 days. That's not food. That's a commitment. But yes, these were preservation bundles designed to last through droughts, bad harvests, cyclones, and long journeys. The magic combo of smoke, salt, and the antibacterial powers of banana leaves meant you could stash one of these bundles under your bed for a month and still eat it without crying. Probably, mainstream historians now acknowledge that banana leaf preservation systems in Madagascar were some of the most efficient non-ceramic storage methods in pre-colonial Africa. Before Tupperware, there was banana wrap. Before refrigeration, there was smoke. And before expiration dates, there was a grandmother sniffing a bundle and simply saying, "Not yet." And here's the kicker. Some of these long ferment bundles didn't just keep food, they improved it. You unwrap a dark brown leaf and are handed a bite of something unrecognizable. It's dense, tangy, chewy, like if a tamarind married a mushroom and they adopted a raisins. You hesitate. You chew. You don't hate it. Turns out, that was fermented banana mash mixed with ground shrimp paste and green chili. Aged in smoked leaf for 45 days, locals call it lasa mami, the gone sweet. You ask why? Someone shrugs. Because it tastes weird, but then it tastes good. Then you crave it. Which, come to think of it, is also how most relationships work. Some of these preserved bundles were compact enough to carry on long walks, perfect for traders, herders, or exiled poets. Legend has it, one traveling healer survived a month in the highlands with nothing but 6 fermented banana bundles and a rusty spoon. He arrived smelling terrible, but reportedly cured 17 headaches. One fringe account likely exaggerated, but charming claim that preserved banana leaf meals were once used as currency, dowries, fines, even gambling tokens. You lost a game of dice. That's 3 bundles, sir. Preferably spicy. Historians still argue whether this was widespread practice or just a local anecdote inflated by hungry archaeologists. You pause by the drying rack again. A young girl turns a bundle slowly, evenly, like rotating a roast over a fire. She explains that if you don't rotate them, the fermentation becomes lopsided. Too much air on one side, not enough on the other. That imbalance could cause sour patches, or worse, leaf burst. A ruined bundle, a kitchen tragedy, a moment of silence. Please, this kind of fermentation isn't passive. It's a relationship. You wrap, you wait, you turn, you listen, you trust. The leaf isn't just sealing in flavor. It's breathing ever so slightly, letting air in, letting moisture out. And through that exchange, the food inside is sculpted by time. You're offered one last taste. A preserved banana leaf bundle filled with sour maize, ground dried crab, and fermented ginger root. You bite in, it crumbles like clay, then melts into umami fireworks. You want to gag. You want another bite? You do both. And somehow, this strange bundle made from leaf and leftover, and a whole lot of patience feels like it's holding history, not in ink, not in stone, but in flavor, in texture. In the whisper of smoke that stays on your tongue long after the meal is gone, you lick your lips, you wipe your hands on your pants, and you make a mental note. If the world ever ends, find a banana tree. The wind shifts again, and this time it carries something different, a deeper funk. Still earthy, still smoky, but tinged with something you'd only describe as ripe regret. You follow your nose, past the drying racks, past the sweet-sour banana mash, into a shaded clearing where the air feels stiller, warmer, more alive. And there, under a thatched roof, is the deep fermentation pit. This isn't the kind you cook in. This isn't even really for food, if we're being honest. This is for what the locals call sweet rot. The process of letting things decompose so deliberately, so carefully, that what you end up with is somewhere between a meal, a memory, and a dare. You watch as an elder pulls a leaf bundle from the pit with tongs made of carved bone. The bundle is wet, not from steam, from time. Its leaf has darkened to near black, veined with gray and streaked with sticky amber spots where something sap, juice, ancestral guilt has seeped out. He sets it on a flat rock and waits. The air hums like a nervous animal. This is rot on purpose. Banana leaf fermentation often walk the line between food preservation and biochemical performance art. You'd bury bundles in pits, sometimes with heated stones, sometimes without, and just leave them for days, for weeks. Sometimes you forgot they were there, until a passing smell reminded you that your dinner was undergoing a spiritual journey. Mainstream historians agree that underground fermentation techniques in Madagascar date back over 200 years used for both food preparation and ceremonial offerings. The banana leaf was essential here, strong enough to contain the decomposition, porous enough to let in air, and sacred enough to offer a buffer between the living and the let's call it nearly edible. But why do this? Why rot food on purpose? You're told it's about depth, about making food more complex, or about surrender. Some say the buried bundles helped develop immunity or ward off gut demons. Others believe the process attracted spirits, specifically ancestors, who'd only return when the food was old enough to remember them. You kneel beside the elder as he unwraps the bundle slowly, like peeling bandages off a wound. Inside is a soft, collapsing, paste-mashed root vegetable. Bits of fermented fish, wild basil, and something dark green that smells like pond water wearing perfume. You try to be brave. You fail, but you're handed a taste anyway. Custom dictates. You eat it with your fingers, no spoons, no middlemen. The paste sticks to your skin like tar and tastes like sadness. But a well-seasoned sadness. There's bitterness, sweetness, sourness, and a surprising flash of mint. Your tongue doesn't know where to go. It just surrenders. Locals say this kind of meal teaches humility. Not everyone can handle it. You must respect the leaf. Trust it. Let it do its slow, smelly work. If you open the bundle too soon, the dish is harsh and angry. Too late. Mushy and malevolent. But get it just right, and you've created what they call banan aine, loosely translated as soul banana. One fringe spiritual belief, still whispered in remote villages, holds that each fermented banana leaf bundle carries a fragment of ancestral breath. When buried, the bundle draws in spirit energy. When eaten, that energy returns to the living, which explains the small shrine you now notice nearby. Bones, beads, and a bundle placed gently atop it, not to be eaten, just observed, honored, allowed to breathe. Historians still argue whether these burial meals were truly meant for consumption or were symbolic gestures, acts of reverence, like lighting incense or singing to the moon. But here's the thing. People did eat them, sometimes just a bite, sometimes in full, often with eyes closed and a prayer on their lips. It wasn't just about flavor, it was about connection. And sometimes, the fermentation wasn't entirely natural. Some regions added crushed bark, burnt bone ash, or even a special fungus scraped from the underside of river stones, believed to accelerate decomposition and invite friendly rot. You don't want to meet the unfriendly kind. One woman shows you a basket of these river stone fungi, stored carefully in dried banana leaf packets. They look like charcoal-dusted mushrooms. She explains that the fungi sing to the bundle, metaphorically, sure, but also maybe literally. Some villagers claim to hear faint hissing or whispering from a fermenting bundle at night. You lean in, nothing. Yet, the process, you learn, is deeply intuitive. No thermometers, no clocks, just the leaf's texture, its weight, the way it leaks. A master fermenter can tell by smell alone when a bundle is ready, or cursed. There's a bundle in the corner no one touches. It burst open too early. The elders say it was too impatient. Now it sits alone, wrapped again, but never eaten. It's a reminder that even in fermentation, there's a lesson. Not everything meant to be preserved will be. Not every bundle survives the pit. You step back from the shrine. Your hands still carry the scent of the sweet rot. You rub your fingers together and feel the faint stickiness of banana sap and smoke. And as the breeze stirs the leaves above, you suddenly understand why they sing to these bundles, why they hum to the pits. Because it's not just food, it's a dialogue between the living and the dead, the leaf and the air, the eater and the eaten. You don't just wrap the meal wraps you. 2. You step away from this rot pit with your mind reeling and your nostrils still full of that sour, sweet funk. But the path ahead isn't any lighter. In fact, it gets even stranger. You're led into a quiet grove where the trees seem to lean in closer, their leaves still as if listening. A low chant hums in the air, steady, rhythmic, almost too soft to be music. You follow the sound until you reach a clearing. And there, laid out on woven mats under a canopy of banana leaves, are dishes meant for the dead. They're not for you. They're not for anyone living. These banana leaf bundles, soft, sagging, visibly fermenting, have been intentionally left unattended. No fires, no utensils, no conversation, just bundles and silence and time. This is what the villagers call a ghost feast. In certain Malagasy traditions, particularly among highland tribes, banana leaf bundles weren't just for nourishment. They were invitations to spirits, ancestors, forgotten gods. The act of wrapping food in banana leaves and leaving it to ferment without touching it again was believed to attract the attention of the invisible, but not just any food would do. You look closely and notice the ingredients. Sour yam mash, fermented banana flour, river fish left whole bones and all, and herbs that smell vaguely of moss and mint. The bundles are sloppier here, not tightly tied, not meant to hold. They're designed to leak, to open themselves to the air, to invite the spirits in. One bundle is cracked open already, its contents fuzzed over with mold greens turned blue, fish turned nearly transparent, and yet no one flinches. In fact, they smile. This, you're told, means the ancestor accepted it. Historians still argue whether these ghost dishes were purely symbolic or whether once sufficiently fermented they were ever eaten by humans. Some oral accounts suggest brave or perhaps foolish villagers would taste a ghost dish after days or even weeks, believing it to be infused with ancestral wisdom. One man supposedly ate a 12-day-old fermented cassava bundle and then recited 5 generations of family names backward. No one verified it, but he was respected ever after. There's also the matter of the fungus. You peer into a half-unwrapped bundle, and you see it, soft, velvety, pale green and growing in spirals like a mossy thumbprint. Some Malagasy healers refer to this as Tongotrani Razana, the footprint of the ancestor. The appearance of this particular mold is considered auspicious, protective, even, and yes, sometimes harvested, dried, ground into powder, used in rituals you definitely weren't invited to. A fringe theory from an obscure university paper once claimed that this particular mold shares properties with penicillin, that ancient Malagasy people were unknowingly cultivating medicinal fungus while trying to feed ghosts. The theory was dismissed by mainstream scholars, but locals just smile and say, "We knew the food could heal. You're just catching up." And then there's the singing. At dusk, the ghost feasts become quiet ceremonies. Women hum softly as they lay new bundles on fresh mats, always in 3s or 7s. Children are warned not to point at the bundles, lest the spirits feel mocked. You don't ask questions now. You just sit and listen to the chant, to the wind in the banana trees, to the near-silent fizz of fermentation. You spot a man sprinkling ash around the mat edges, not to keep insects out, but to keep spirits in. Contain the energy. They say, guide the dead. One wrong move and the wrong ancestor might show up grumpy, hungry, and offended by your seasoning choices. And yet, the process is gentle, loving. The meals are made with care. The bundles are not abandoned, but entrusted to the air, to the microbes, to whatever watches. You're handed a bundle not to eat, but to carry. You walk a slow loop through the grove with it, trailing incense and breath. Then you place it among the others and whisper the name of someone long gone. Even if you've never met them, even if they weren't yours, it's not about ownership, it's about memory. And that's the strangest part of all, how natural it feels. To leave food for someone who can't eat it. To ferment something into decay, just so a ghost might sniff it. To fold a banana leaf not for your own hunger, but for someone who exists only in stories and the rustling of trees. So much of food is about control, timing, heat, salt, taste. But ghost dishes, they're about release. You wrap, you wait, you let go. What happens after that isn't up to you. One final bundle sits in the center of the mat, larger than the rest, wrapped in 3 leaves and tied with braided palm fibers. No one touches it, not even the elders. When asked, they just say, that one is not ready. You don't ask who it's for. You don't want to know. The night settles around you, heavy with mist and meaning. The ghost dishes remain untouched, softly fizzing, quietly rotting, but not forgotten. Because sometimes, the best meals are the ones no one eats. The next morning arrives wrapped in fog soft, silver, clinging to the tops of banana trees like gauze. You blink it from your lashes as you follow a winding trail uphill, toward a village perched on a high plateau. The climb is slow, damp. Your feet squish into mossy roots and red clay. And all the while, the scent of fermented leaf bundles lingers like a ghost that hasn't quite let go. This village is different, smaller, quieter, but with one very loud truth. They have a lot of banana leaf recipes, 14 to be exact. You counted, you lost count, you counted again. 14 different methods of fermentation, wrapping, stuffing, smoking, drying, aging, and sometimes not aging at all. You're told, with a mix of pride and mystery, that no other village in the region guards such a diverse collection of recipes. Some are ancient, some are adaptations, and a few, they might have been accidents, glorious, sticky accidents. You're welcomed by a wiry woman with a laugh like popping corn and the grip of a construction worker. Her name is Farah. She waves you into her kitchen, a lean-to of banana bark walls and a fire pit surrounded by 3 large clay vessels. One smells like fish. One smells like bananas left in a sauna. The third, unspeakable. You nod politely. Each household in this village, you quickly learn, has its own variation of the same basic idea. Wrap it, ferment it. Pray it works, but the ingredients, timing, and wrapping technique vary just enough that no 2 bundles taste alike, even if they look alike. Farah begins with her signature dish, fermented ginger rice with burnt banana peel. She folds the rice, already 2 days old and lightly sour, into a softened leaf rubbed with ginger sap. Then she adds a strip of banana peel, charred on one side, chewy on the other. It tastes like smoke and candy. She promises, "You're skeptical. You're wrong. It's weird." It's amazing. Next door, an older man makes crab and cassava mash, fermented with wild lime peel, and left hanging in a tree for 6 nights to teach it humility. You take one bite and instantly feel like you've done something brave or foolish, possibly both. Then there's the woman 2 doors down who doesn't ferment her bundle at all. She freezes it, not in a freezer, obviously, but in a cool mountain stream, where her rice and wild bean mixture sits tightly wrapped in banana leaves and weighted down by stones. After 3 days of cold soak, it tastes crisp like sour porridge wearing a tuxedo. You didn't know food could be refreshing and deeply funky at the same time. And every house has a story. One family believes their recipe was a gift from a dream, literally. Their great-great-grandfather supposedly saw a glowing banana tree and heard a voice telling him to wrap sweet potato, river mint, and ant eggs in a triple-leaf spiral and leave it behind a waterfall for 2 nights. He did. It fermented. They ate it. No one died. A tradition was born. Another household insists their bundle, spiced taro with smoked vanilla bean, cures heartbreak. Eat it. Cry once. Then you're done. The grandmother says, handing you a bundle like a tissue for your soul. You do as you're told. It tastes like burnt sugar, regret, and something you can't quite name. You feel better, then worse, then weirdly clear. By late afternoon, you're full. Not of food, but of secrets. Every leaf bundle here is more than a recipe. It's a family story folded into flavor, a tradition with edges. Some of the recipes are protected fiercely, never shared outside the family. Others are traded between neighbors like playing cards. And a few, wholly improvised. One teenager shows you her new experiment, mashed banana with chili pepper and dried goat cheese, buried under hot sand for 4 hours, then cold-soaked in river water for 12 years. It smells like bad decisions. It tastes like brilliance. She shrugs. I was bored. You ask if she's written it down. She points to her nose. It's in here. The villagers laugh when you try to remember all 14 recipes. You'll forget, they say, and maybe that's the point. You're not meant to memorize. You're meant to taste, wait, and try again. That's the rhythm of fermentation. That's the rhythm of this village. One final household invites you in just as the sun dips low. The couple unwraps a leaf bundle that's been fermenting for exactly 9 days, no more, no less. Inside, fermented pumpkin, wild clove, and crushed fig seeds. The leaf has stained gold. The steam smells like a fireplace in autumn. You eat in silence. You don't ask for the recipe. You just thank it. You realize something as you watch the villagers gather for their evening meal, each with their own leaf bundle. No two the same. This isn't about uniformity. It's about variation. Survival through creativity. Heritage through funk. Historians have long debated whether Malagasy banana leaf recipes evolved independently in each village or descended from a shared proto-recipe brought over by Austronesian migrants. Some argue the highlands developed techniques earlier due to cooler air slowing rot. Others say the coast invented fermentation as a way to manage humidity. No one agrees. Everyone eats. And here, in this village of 14 secrets, you taste the most important one. That food is memory, folded. You may not remember every spice, but your tongue will remember the story, and your heart will remember the leaf. You wake the next morning to the sound of drums, not loud, not insistent, just a soft, hollow rhythm echoing from the valley below. A call, not an alarm. You stretch under your woven blanket, banana leaf smoke still clinging faintly to your hair, and realize something's different. There's a tension in the air, something sharper than celebration. By the time you reach the edge of the plateau, it's clear. This isn't just a feast day. It's a negotiation. 2 groups stand facing each other in a clearing between villages, cooking fires burning low. Bundles of food stacked like offerings. Men with spears lean on fence posts. Women in red scarves pass out banana leaf parcels with forced smiles. Even the children seem unusually quiet. This, you learn, is a bundle exchange. A tradition older than most treaties. and only slightly less dangerous. In ancient Madagascar, banana leaf bundles weren't just food, they were currency. You didn't bring gold to a wedding. You brought preserved, leaf-wrapped fish with fermented millet and wild pepper. You didn't settle a land dispute with documents. You wrapped a salted eel in banana, buried it for 7 days, and presented it as a symbol of peace or subtle threat. Depending on the seasoning, you watch as two elders approach one another, each carrying a steaming bundle tied in red string. They bow not deeply, just enough to acknowledge that whatever happens next is bound in the leaf between them. They unwrap their offerings slowly, side by side, revealing nearly identical bundles. Smoked banana mash with tamarind and salted goat kidney. The kidney is key. It symbolizes trust, because if it isn't perfectly fermented, it can ruin the meal and your relationship. One elder smells the bundle, so does the other. Everyone holds their breath. Then they nod. Tension breaks like dry leaf underfoot. Drums return. Children laugh. Banana leaf bundles are passed around like party favors. The exchange work. This time, historians still argue whether this tradition predates written treaties or developed alongside them as a parallel system of culinary diplomacy. Some believe the symbolism embedded in fermented food, the weight, the transformation, the risk made it uniquely suited for resolving conflict. You can't fake fermentation. Either it's ready or it's rotten. Either your intentions were good or they weren't. And when it failed, things got messy. In one oral history passed down near the Tsiribihina River, two clans once used banana leaf bundles to negotiate a marriage alliance, but the groom's family presented a bundle that was under-fermented, gooey, sour, and stinking of neglect. The bride's father declared it a sign of disrespect. A minor skirmish broke out. 2 goats were stolen. 3 bundles were hurled into a river out of spite. No one got married. But local legend says the bundles floated downstream and inspired a new village's cooking style. Because in Madagascar, even culinary insults can become recipes. You're ushered towards a small stall where a woman is wrapping a peace bundle. You can tell by the shape it's a double wrap, with a small inner pouch containing crushed star anise and honeyed rice, and an outer pouch of fermented cassava and dried river shrimp. The flavors don't necessarily pair well, but that's the point. It's about reconciliation. Sweet and strange, bitterness tucked inside. She tells you that in her childhood, these bundles were offered during Fady season times of taboo, mourning, or transition. You give it to someone you've wronged, she explains, and if they eat it, you're forgiven. If they unwrap it and feed it to a dog, not so much. You laugh, but she's serious. The ritual is delicate, and once you've wrapped it, you can't take it back. It's part of the pact, like saying sorry and then waiting, not knowing if they'll bite or burn it. In other regions, banana leaf bundles were used to declare war. Yes, war, but not with fire or fury through food. A bundle tied in black string and delivered silently at night could mean, "We're coming!" One tied in green, "This is your last chance." One infamous account from the 1700s details a chieftain sending 40 leaf bundles wrapped in charred leaves, blackened as death, each filled with fermented goat blood and chili paste. The recipients held a council. They surrendered before tasting. Food doesn't lie. Even today, some villages still refuse to share specific bundle recipes with their rivals. You ask one elder, why? He shrugs and says, because once they know what you eat, they know how you think. You laugh until you realize he's not joking. You walk between the stalls now, sampling bundles from both sides. One is rich with smoked banana and tamarind seed sticky, almost floral. Another is sharp with pickled eggplant and a paste of fermented mung bean. You begin to taste the logic behind each flavor. Some are gentle, forgiving. Others make your eyes water. You wonder what they're trying to say. A woman hands you a wrapped bundle with no string, no marking, just soft heat and a faint aroma of nutmeg and lime. Eat it alone, she says, and think about who you'd give it to. You do. It's sour at first, then creamy, then oddly warm. You sit down on a log and just chew slowly, quietly, the way people do when they're making decisions. And you realize this isn't food. Not exactly. It's a language, a way of expressing forgiveness, or warning, or celebration, or doubt. And the banana leaf, it's the envelope. You don't speak Malagasy fluently, but after today, you understand a few words, and every one of them tastes like fermented rice. The path down from the highland village is slick with mist and the faint scent of eucalyptus. You take your time partly because your legs ache from days of wandering, but also because every step feels like leaving behind a language you just started to learn. But as you descend into the lower valley, a new sound rises to meet you. Clanging metal, voices in a foreign rhythm, boots on gravel. You round a bend and see them colonial uniforms. Not many, just a patrol. A handful of French officers and their Malagasy interpreters, standing awkwardly at the edge of a banana grove, watching villagers prepare bundles with thinly veiled suspicion. You've entered the colonial era, and banana leaf fermentation is about to meet its most baffled critic yet, the European palate. During the 19th century, when Madagascar became a French colony, fermented banana leaf dishes were among the first things to draw confusion, mockery, and in some cases sheer panic from colonial officers. Reports describe them as pungent bundles of uncertain content, leafy traps, or, most famously, suspicious cheese bombs. You smile at that last one. It sounds dramatic, but then again, you've smelled some of those bundles, you get it. The French, trained in the structured gastronomy of Parisian cafes and crusty white bread, were wholly unprepared for the soft chaos of Malagasy fermentation. The banana leaf alone confused them. "Where are the plates?" they asked. "Why is it wet? Is this edible?" Historians still argue whether their rejection was due to unfamiliar flavors or the unsettling idea that food could be left to rot underground on purpose. Either way, they didn't take to it kindly. Some tried to ban it outright. Colonial officials in coastal regions issued absurd regulations forbidding unauthorized underground cooking, citing sanitation concerns. The real concern, they didn't understand it. Banana leaf bundles seemed secretive, primitive, unmeasured everything French bureaucracy despised. But you know better now. These bundles weren't chaos. They were controlled alchemy, time, technique, intuition. Of course, some officers did try them, usually by accident, or in social gestures meant to appease local leaders. There's a recorded account of a French lieutenant in 1896 who accepted a banana leaf bundle filled with pickled eel and fermented cassava, thinking it was a rice dumpling. He reportedly fainted before finishing the second bite. His nickname among the troops became Capitaine Poisson Mort. And yet, behind the scenes, curiosity bloomed. Some Malagasy cooks working in colonial households began to sneak bits of fermented leaf cuisine into the back corners of their employers' meals. A touch of sour banana paste in a sauce, a smudge of smoky leaf oil on a fish fillet. One chef even fermented milk and banana leaves, creating a creamy, pungent dessert that confused everyone and disappeared mysteriously after one serving. One fringe account claims a French botanist stationed in Antananarivo became obsessed with banana leaf fermentation and filled 7 journals with notes, recipes, and sketchy taste test results. His colleagues thought he was losing his mind, but one of his recipes, a sweet-spiced fermented yam roll, wrapped in banana and smoked for 8 hours, was allegedly served in a Marseille bistro in 1912 under the name roulade malgache épicée. Was it the same dish? No way to confirm, but it didn't last on the menu. Back in the present, you watch as a modern Malagasy elder offers a banana leaf bundle to a young man in pressed khakis and mirrored sunglasses. A peace gesture. The man hesitates, inspects it like a live grenade, then hands it off to his interpreter, who grins and takes a bite without flinching. "This one's mild," he says, licking his fingers. "Only 2 days fermented." The elder chuckles and mutters something in Malagasy. The interpreter translates. "Next time, 3 days. That one makes your dreams louder." You raise an eyebrow. "Louder?" He shrugs. Some dishes speak back. The French weren't the only ones confused. The rise of urbanization in Madagascar during and after colonization led to generational divides. Younger city dwellers started turning away from fermentation, considering it rural, backwards, messy. Leaf bundles gave way to aluminum pots, fast cooking, and packaged sauces. Even today, you'll find university students who've never tasted true banana leaf rot. But some recipes survived. passed quietly between grandmothers and daughters, tucked into weekends, served on holidays, hidden in plain sight. You're handed a bundle now, wrapped neatly, lightly smoked, unlabeled. The elder tells you this one was once served to a colonial officer who couldn't pronounce its name, so the village renamed it Vazaha Mondoa, Foreigner's Cry. You unwrap it. Inside, fermented mango leaves, chili, banana sap, and ground ant paste. Your lips tingle before the first bite. Your eyes water by the second. You cry a little. They nod approvingly. Even now, in post-colonial Madagascar, banana leaf fermentation remains an act of quiet rebellion, a way to preserve what couldn't be rewritten. You can ban the fire. You can burn the pit, but you can't outlaw the leaf, not when it's in the soil, the stories, the tongue. And in the end, it wasn't the colonizers who adapted the leaf. It was the leaf that endured. By now, the rhythm of the land feels familiar. The rustle of banana leaves at dusk, the low simmer of buried bundles, the whisper of steam when a leaf is finally peeled back. But tonight breaks the pattern, because as the sun dips below the tree line, the village begins to hum, not with conversation, but with sound, wordless, tonal, sustained. You walk toward it, drawn like a moth to warmth, and find yourself at the edge of a clearing lit by torches and ringed with banana leaves, strung like prayer flags. Welcome to the Fermentation Festival. It's not annual. It's not on the calendar. It happens when it's needed. When the rains have been good, the spirits forgiving, and the villagers well-fed and slightly daring, decide it's time to sing to the rot. Yes, sing. To the bubbling pots, to the wrapped bundles, to the leaf, to the funk. You see half a dozen large ceramic jars lined in a circle, each covered with banana leaves held down by river stones. These aren't cooking pots. They're fermentation vessels filled weeks ago with banana mash, crushed rice, mashed jackfruit, star anise, and in one case, something that smells like old socks and joy. Villagers take turns leaning over them and humming, low and steady, not loud, just enough to stir the air. A sound you feel more than hear. A sound that seems to speak to the bubbles rising beneath those leaves. You don't ask why, you just join. Historians still argue whether this tradition has any scientific basis. Could sound vibrations actually influence fermentation? One camp says yes, pointing to fringe research about sound waves stimulating microbial activity. Another says no, blaming confirmation bias and banana-induced hallucinations. But the villagers here, they don't argue. They just hum. A woman taps your arm and hands you a wrapped bundle, slightly warm, gently sweating. Sing to this one, she says. It's listening. You nod. You have no idea what to sing. So you hum the first thing that comes to mind, something between a lullaby and a tune from a toothpaste commercial. The bundle vibrates in your hands, or maybe you imagine it. Either way, you keep going. Nearby, a group of children are dancing around a pot of bubbling plantain wine, their feet pattering the ground in a loose rhythm. Their parents watch, laughing quietly, hands wrapped around leaf-wrapped bundles of their own, some fermented, some fresh, some wrapped just for the ceremony. You're told the singing isn't just for the food, it's for the ancestors. The villagers believe that fermentation connects time, binds the present to the past through decay, transformation, and patience. And to guide that transformation, sound must be offered, not commands, just vibration, presence. One elder explains it like this: the banana leaf holds the bundle, the earth holds the leaf. We hold the sound. Together, we keep it alive. Another fringe belief, that fermentation songs help calm the microbes. If a batch of rice turns bitter or spoils too early, it's said the song was too fast, or sung with anger. You ask how to sing better. The woman smiles and says, sing like the banana grows. You sit beside one of the older jars and peel back the banana leaf. Inside, a slow, pulsing stew of fermented mashed banana and sorghum. It bubbles softly, as if breathing. You lean in and hum again, longer this time. The surface ripples. You swear it responds. A group of men arrive carrying tall banana stalks with bundles tied to their tops. trophies from the village's best fermenters. Each is awarded a title not based on taste, but on how well their bundle aged. Most patient leaf, sweetest rot, bundle that didn't explode in the pit. One woman holds up her bundle like a newborn and declares, 5 weeks, not one leak. The crowd cheers. It's the kind of pride normally reserved for sports or childbirth. And then, as the sky darkens to deep blue, the villagers gather in a circle, each holding a bundle close to their chest. The humming fades. Silence stretches. Then, one by one, they unwrap their bundles simultaneously. Not to eat, just to release the smell. The air shifts. The aroma rises. It's sour, smoky, funky, familiar, and somehow beautiful. It's a collective offering, a signal to one another, to the spirits, to the leaf itself, and for a moment, it feels like the whole village exhales together. Then they eat. You try a bundle from the woman beside you, fermented banana flour with pickled tamarind and crushed rice. It's tangy, salty, floral, and oddly fizzy. You ask how she made it. She laughs. I didn't. The leaf did. You sit back, full of steam and story. Your hands smell like banana sap. Your ears still ring with the low hum of 100 voices. And your mouth tastes like history wrapped, warmed, and sung back into life. This isn't just dinner. It's a ritual of reminding that food can be more than fuel. It can be a song, a spell, a slow transformation held together by the thinnest of things, a leaf that lets you wait. The morning after the festival comes like a whisper, soft, golden, and a little sticky. The fire pits are cold. The singing has stopped. Even the banana trees seem to sway slower, as if they're sleeping off the night's vibrations. You're packing your things now, gathering stories, smells, and a satchel lined with dried banana leaves that still carry the scent of smoke and star anise. But before you leave, there's one final journey to make, one last thread to follow. The lost recipes. They don't live in cookbooks. They don't appear on placards. They survive in memories, or sometimes not at all. You follow 2 elder sisters, both in their 80s, as they climb a winding trail through misty forest. Their hands steady, their eyes scanning the underbrush. They carry nothing but a knife, a small satchel, and a folded square of cloth. When you ask where you're going, one simply says, to find what's trying to disappear. The path narrows. Ferns brush your knees. The air smells like wet bark and forgotten spice. Then you see it, a banana grove nearly overgrown with vines, shadowed by taller trees, untended, unused. This one was our mother's, they tell you, and hers before that. They kneel beside the oldest tree and begin slicing a few young leaves. Not the dark ones, but the pale, nearly translucent growth near the center of the stalk. The younger leaf is softer, milder, better for the old bundles, the ones no one makes anymore. You sit with them on the forest floor as they recreate a recipe not spoken aloud in decades. Fermented jackfruit seed mash, spiced with smoked vanilla bark and wrapped with dried banana sap. It's a dish that takes 7 days to ferment and 2 hours to unwrap deliberately. Slow, stubbornly delicate, nearly lost. They work by feel. A dash of this, a pinch of that. No measurements, no heat, only what they remember. The leaf will know, they say, and the leaf does. As they wrap, they tell stories of dishes that no longer exist. One involved river snail foam and tamarind rind left to ferment in hollowed bamboo. Another, made only for widows, used pickled citrus flower and blood banana skin, believed to soften grief. A few had spiritual restrictions recipes you could only make during eclipses or in complete silence. Historians, they've never documented most of these. The notes were never written. The recipes never spoken to strangers, not out of secrecy, but because they were lived, passed through hands, eyes, scent. When a generation forgot, the dish did too. Fringe anthropologists sometimes call these meals ghost bundles, not because they were for spirits, but because they became spirits themselves, haunting the edges of culture, sometimes appearing in a story, never on a plate. You ask how many recipes are gone. The sisters don't answer. They just point to the grove. This many, one says, dozens of banana trees, dozens of lost meals. But not all is forgotten, because today, you watched one reappear. The bundle they've wrapped, now tied, buried beneath hot stones, will be ready in a week. You won't be here to taste it, but that's not the point. The point is, it was remembered, recalled, reformed, and passed forward. You're handed a different bundle as you level lighter, drier. Made just that morning, it's filled with mashed rice, toasted banana peel, and a paste made from herbs they won't name. Taste it after 2 days. They say it will taste like yesterday, and it does. Later, in a nearby village, a child shows you her attempt at a new recipe. Mashed jackfruit, chili, and dried orange peel wrapped in banana leaf and dried on a roof tile. You bite, it's sharp, unusual, maybe even terrible, but it's new, and her smile is wide. You realize then, the leaf doesn't care whether a dish is old or new. It holds them both the same. What matters is the wrapping, the act of intention, of offering time and patience to something soft and strange. Banana leaf cuisine isn't just a tradition, it's a conversation with change. It decays, it transforms, it disappears. And if you're lucky, it returns. Just like stories, just like sleep, just like dreams wrapped in leaves and buried in fire, waiting to be tasted. You're back where it all began, beneath a swaying canopy of banana leaves, the sun breaking through in thin golden fingers. The pit has cooled. The bundles are long since eaten. The village has returned to its quiet rhythm, slow, steady, steeped in smoke and memory. And yet, something lingers. You sit beside a woman who must be at least 90, her skin folded like the leaves she's spent a lifetime wrapping. She doesn't say much, just hums as she presses soft rice into a fresh banana leaf, her hands moving without thought, like breathing, like remembering. This is the final dish, the most ordinary, the most sacred. Simple fermented rice with banana mash and crushed pepper leaf. No fanfare, no rituals, just continuity. The same bundle she's made every week for decades. You ask her why. She looks at you and says, "So my granddaughter knows how." The child sits beside her now, mimicking each fold, each tie. Her leaf bundle is messy, a little lopsided, but when she presses it closed, she hums just like her grandmother. The sound is off-key. The bundle leaks a little, but no one corrects her, because this, you realize, is the future of banana leaf fermentation, not perfection, presence. In the modern world, where time runs fast and food comes in plastic, there's something radical about waiting for a banana leaf bundle to ferment, about wrapping something with care and not knowing how it will turn out, about trusting the leaf, trusting the heat, trusting the microbes, trusting yourself. That bundle the grandmother makes, it's not for guests, not for ceremony. It's not even always eaten. Sometimes, it's just placed on the windowsill to catch the afternoon sun, to let the aroma remind the house who they are, where they came from, what can still be made by hand, by heart, by leaf. Historians may never trace every variation. Anthropologists will keep debating whether this tradition began in the highlands or the coasts. Food scientists will still be baffled by how a leaf and time can create such deep, layered flavor. But the villagers, they just keep wrapping. You take one last bundle from the table, still warm, soft with steam, tied in faded bark string. The elder nods to you. "This one is for the road," she says. "Eat it when you're too tired to remember what day it is." You thank her. You hold it to your chest for a moment, feeling the weight, the warmth, the quiet pulse of something alive inside. Then you rise, feet soft on the red earth, banana trees swaying behind you like farewell hands. And as you walk, the bundle in your hand, you know it is not just food. It's a memory wrapped in green, a patience you can taste. A story that doesn't end, it just ferments, waits, and begins again. Now, just sit back. Let your shoulders fall away from your ears. Let the hum of the banana grove dissolve into the soft rustle of night. You've walked a long path through forest and fire pit, memory and fermentation. You've unwrapped bundles that told stories, tasted meals that remembered their ancestors, and listened to leaves hum lullabies to jars of bubbling rice. You've learned how food can rot on purpose, how it can forgive, preserve, warn, and whisper, how it can disappear and come back. Changed? Breathe in slowly now, and exhale just as slow. You're not in the forest anymore, but maybe the scent of banana sap is still on your fingertips. Maybe the sound of quiet humming hasn't quite left your ears. Maybe the story hasn't ended. It's just resting, wrapped in warmth, sealed in silence, waiting for morning. And that little bundle by your heart, The one you imagined holding just now, it's still warm, still alive, still changing, slowly like dreams do. So wherever you are, whatever time it is, just let go now. Let the leaf hold you, let the night wrap you up, and let your thoughts soften into steam, drift upward, and vanish like smoke over a quiet village. The story's done fermenting. You've tasted enough. Time to sleep.